It's just a quick shopping trip, Linda said, flicking her hand like it was no big deal as she snatched her designer purse from the passenger seat. The kids are asleep anyway. I'll only be 20 minutes. I glanced at the rearview mirror where my 2-year-old twins, Emma and Nathan, napped soundly in their car seats. Their little chests rose and fell in peaceful rhythm, blissfully unaware that their grandmother was about to casually disregard their safety. My name is Madison Cooper. I'm 32, and at that moment, I stood in a mall parking lot, already drenched in sweat, arguing with my mother-in-law over something that should have been obvious. You don't leave toddlers in a car alone, especially not in July. Linda, no, I said, firm but trying to stay calm. I opened the back door. I'll wake them up and bring them to my appointment. We'll reschedule your shopping trip. She rolled her eyes, the way she always did when she didn't get her way. You're being dramatic. The car's in the shade, windows are cracked, they'll be fine. Moving them now will throw off their nap schedule. You're always so obsessed with their schedule. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed, a reminder from the dental office. I was already late for the root canal I'd put off for 2 months. Linda had insisted she could watch the twins. James, my husband, had reassured me. She raised me just fine, he said. Linda smoothed her silk blouse and adjusted her sunglasses. You modern moms act like the world will end if you're not holding their hands every second. I raised James, and he turned out perfectly fine. I hesitated. She'd watched them before, but only briefly, and only at home, not in a parking lot. But the pounding in my jaw was unbearable, and she seemed so confident. 20 minutes, I said finally. That's the absolute max. She was already walking toward the mall entrance. I just need to pick up a few things. They're holding them for me. I should have followed my instincts. I should have canceled the appointment, but I didn't. I'll be about 2 hours, I called after her. If they wake up, call me and I'll send James. She waved, never turning around, heels clicking as she disappeared behind the glass doors. 2 hours later, I stumbled out of the dentist's office, my mouth numb and my head foggy. I had 6 missed calls, all from an unknown number, not Linda. The first voicemail chilled my blood. Mrs. Cooper, this is Officer Martinez with the Oak Hill PD. We need you to come to Oak Mall immediately. It's regarding your children. I don't remember driving. My brain raced with every nightmare scenario imaginable. Why hadn't she called? What happened? When I pulled into the lot, I saw 2 police cruisers and an ambulance. My heart dropped, but then I heard a familiar wail. Emma, alive. Officer Martinez met me as I ran toward the chaos. Your children are okay, he said quickly. Overheated, dehydrated, but responsive. Paramedics are evaluating them. How? I rasped, barely able to speak. He led me to a security officer holding a tablet. We need you to watch this, Martinez said grimly. Footage played of Linda leaving the car at 11:15 a.m. Walking confidently into the mall. The timestamps advanced. Linda browsing dresses, trying on shoes, sitting at a cafe, sipping wine. At one point, she even laughed and posed for a selfie at the nail salon. She never checked on them? I asked, my voice trembling. Not once, the officer said. A parking attendant heard the children crying around 1:45 p.m. They were drenched in sweat. The interior of the car had reached dangerous temperatures, even with the windows cracked. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Where is she? I asked. Still getting her nails done when we found her, he said, disgust thick in his voice. That's when I saw her, Linda, escorted by an officer, her nails fresh, shopping bags in hand. She looked irritated, not alarmed. When she saw me, her expression twisted into offense. Madison, she called out, tell them they're overreacting. The kids are fine. I checked on them. She hadn't. I knew it. The cameras didn't lie. I turned my back on her and ran to the ambulance. A paramedic was holding Nathan. Emma sat on the bumper, her face blotchy, eyes wide. When they saw me, they both burst into sobs, reaching for me with trembling arms. I scooped them up, heartbreaking. Behind me, Linda huffed. This is ridiculous. I raised James. He turned out fine. I turned slowly, voice cold. Officer Martinez, I said clearly, I want to press charges. Linda's mouth dropped, her face twisted into disbelief. You can't be serious. We're family. James will never let this happen. But I wasn't thinking about James. I was thinking about my babies, about what could have happened. As the officer read her rights, Linda's outrage escalated. She screamed about loyalty and betrayal, but I wasn't listening. Later that night, James paced the living room, furious. She's my mother, Madison, you can't seriously be doing this. I sat beside the twins' playpen. They were finally asleep, cool damp cloths on their foreheads, water bottles nearby. The pediatrician said they'd be okay, but okay was a miracle. She left them in a hot car for nearly 3 hours, I said quietly. The paramedics said 20 more minutes and we might have lost them. James stopped pacing. But she's family. You don't press charges against your own family. I stared at him, stunned. A mistake is leaving the milk out, not abandoning toddlers in a hot car for the sake of a manicure. She didn't mean to. She didn't apologize. She said everyone was overreacting. James's phone buzzed again, probably Vanessa. His family had already started spinning the story. I was vindictive. I was tearing the family apart. I opened the security footage on my phone and shoved it toward him. Want to see? Want to watch your mother drink wine while our kids cry in the heat? Or get her nails done while Nathan throws up from heat exhaustion? He didn't look. Emma was clawing at her car seat. I whispered. They were soaked in sweat. They were terrified. Mom's upset, James muttered. She's been crying all evening. Not for them, I snapped. For herself. I read the new text from my sister, Kate, a lawyer. The prosecutor was moving quickly. Charges included child endangerment and criminal negligence. If you go through with this, James said stiffly, if you send my mother to jail, I'll never forgive you. I looked up at him, this man I'd shared a life with for 7 years, this man who now stood firmly on the wrong side of the line. If I don't, I said slowly, I'll never forgive myself. If I don't do this, I'll never forgive myself, I said, my voice low but certain. The days that followed were a whirlwind of statements, meetings, and the constant ringing of my phone. James's family had launched into full damage control mode. Linda spun her usual web, insisting she checked on the kids constantly and painting me as the overreacting villain. But the truth had receipts, literal ones, security footage, paramedic reports, temperature logs from inside the car. It all told a very different story. The prosecutor, Kate, a fellow mother, was particularly disturbed by Linda's social media posts from that day, smiling selfies with captions like self-care day, wine and nails, taken as my children sat locked in her car, suffering. This is cut and dry, Kate said one morning as we reviewed the documents. The evidence is overwhelming, and her attitude doesn't help. She's not just negligent, she's unrepentant. I stared into my untouched coffee. James won't speak to me. His whole family is calling me heartless for not letting it go. Kate reached over and gently squeezed my hand. You're a mother. You're doing what a mother should, protecting her children. If James can't see that, then maybe he's the one who needs a reality check. That evening, I walked into my living room and froze. Linda was sitting on my couch. James stood nearby, arms crossed like a disappointed teacher. We need to talk, he said sternly. She's not supposed to be here, I snapped. The bail conditions. Please, Linda interrupted, her voice shaking. I'm sorry, Madison, I made a mistake, but we can get through this as a family. Please, don't tear us apart. I pulled out my phone, calm but resolute. You mean like how you were thinking about family while shopping for handbags and sipping wine? I'll take parenting classes. I'll pay for therapy. I'll do whatever it takes, she pleaded. I looked at James. His eyes were filled with that same familiar desperation, begging me to let it slide, but all I could see was my babies, red-faced, crying, alone in a hot car. I raised my phone. Officer Martinez, this is Madison. Linda Cooper is at my home, violating bail. James rushed toward me. Madison, wait. No, I said, stepping away. You have 30 seconds to leave before you're arrested again. And James, if you ever let her near our kids again, my lawyer will be in touch. They left. Linda's tears dried fast, replaced with a venomous glare. James didn't say a word, but for the first time in weeks, I felt clarity. I was done playing nice. 3 months later, the courthouse was packed for Linda's hearing. James's family sat in a tight little pack, whispering and throwing me sharp looks as I walked in with Kate by my side. James was among them, still loyal to his mother. We were separated now, his choice. He said he needed space. That space now included brunch dates with his high school ex. All rise, the bailiff called. Linda stood at the defense table, dressed in an expensive navy suit meant to scream respectability. Her legal team had been working overtime, and she had taken to giving dramatic interviews about how I was ripping the family apart. But the prosecution didn't play games. The security footage rolled. showing Linda strolling past her car again and again. The footage was followed by a string of damning evidence, medical reports, temperature records, credit card swipes at multiple stores, and of course, her tone-deaf Instagram posts. A parking attendant gave a gut-wrenching testimony. The little girl kept crying for her mom, he said, voice thick. The boy, he was covered in vomit, soaked in sweat. When it was Linda's turn, she put on her usual act. I love my grandchildren, she sobbed. I just lost track of time. The prosecutor pounced. Lost track of time? Is that why you posted treating myself to some me time during hour 2 of your me day? Her face faltered as the truth cut through her tears. More witnesses followed. The nail salon employee recalled how Linda had added a spa treatment because, quote, she wasn't in a rush. Then came the verdict. Mrs. Cooper, the judge said firmly, your actions show a reckless disregard for the lives of your grandchildren. This wasn't one mistake, it was a pattern of negligence and selfishness. 18 months in prison, 3 years probation, no unsupervised contact with my kids, ever. As the bailiff took her away, Linda turned and hissed, I hope you're happy, you've destroyed everything. I didn't respond, I didn't need to. James approached me afterward, hesitant. Madison. I cut him off. I filed for divorce this morning. Kate has the papers. What, now? He asked, stunned. Yes, because I watched you sit with your mother after everything. I watched you defend her instead of our kids, and I realized, you're not just blind, you're dangerous in your own way. I love our children, he said. But not enough to protect them from her, I replied. You love your mother's approval more. That evening, I sat on the porch watching Emma and Nathan splash in their kiddie pool. Their laughter was like music, but I still saw the shadows, Emma's occasional nightmares, Nathan's sudden clinginess. Kate handed me a glass of wine and joined me. You did the right thing, she said. I know, I whispered, watching Emma laugh as she poured a bucket over her brother's head. It just wasn't the ending I wanted. My phone buzzed. Vanessa, probably another guilt trip disguised as a text. I deleted it. 6 months later, a letter arrived, Linda's prison counselor. Enclosed was a written apology. Linda admitted everything. She expressed remorse. The counselor said it might offer closure. I put it away. Maybe one day, when Emma and Nathan were old enough, I'd explain why they didn't see that side of the family anymore. But not now. Now was for healing. Emma climbed into my lap, damp and warm from the sun. Love you, Mommy. Love you too, baby, I whispered, hugging her tight. And in that moment, I knew, every decision, every battle, every tear had been worth it. Because they were safe. And that was all that mattered. Thanks for watching, see you next time, and stay stunned.